Updated August 25, 2018, 22 hours 37 minutes and 18 seconds. The Hawks win the latest thriller over the Swans to wrap up a top 4 spot. The Crows thrash the Blues, the Cats hammer the Suns, the Tigers edge the Bulldogs, and the Magpies finish over the top of Freo. Hawks' earn comeback win over Buddy-less SwansHawthorn mounted a stirring second-half fight back to secure a top 4 AFL spot with a 9-point win over Sydney at the SCG on Saturday. The Hawks trailed by 19 at half-time, but kicked 9 goals to 4 in the second half to win 12.11 83 to 10.14 74 and record a 6th straight win. The Swans suffered 2 blows before the game, with stars Lance Franklin and Luke Parker both pulling out with groin strains. It was the Hawks' 5th consecutive win at the SCG, where the Swans have lost 6 of their 11 games this season. Sydney inched ahead by 9 points in the final quarter, but the Hawks kicked the last 3 goals of the game through Harry Morrison, Jordan Henderson and Luke Bruce to secure the precious win. Opportunistic Hawks small forward Paul Puopolo kicked 3 goals and Henderson and Jack Gunston 2 each. The loss means 5th-placed Sydney are likely to drop 1 or 2 spots depending on the result of Sunday's Melbourne GWS game at the MCG. Hawthorn's Brownlow medal favourite Tom Mitchell was contained to 9 first-half possessions, but finished with 24, the same as his direct opponent George Hewitt. The Swans kicked the first 2 goals of the game, but Hawthorn bagged the next 2 to lead by a point at the end of a first-quarter arm wrestle. Sydney's trademark pressure was prominent as they dominated the second quarter. The home team slammed on the first 4 goals and 27 points of the term and led by 19 at half-time. But the tables turned in the third quarter as the Hawks ramped up their intensity. They kicked 4 goals to 2, and got within 1 point before ending the term 6 behind. Hawthorn then showed greater composure down the stretch, kicking 5 goals to 2 in the last quarter. Jake Lloyd tallied 31 touches for Sydney, with Isaac Heaney and Tom Pupley each kicking 2 goals, while Liam Shields led the Hawks' possession getters with 26. Crows finish the season with big win over Blue Scarletons in glorious AFL campaign is finally over after a 104-point routing by Adelaide that confirmed the team's worst season in 117 years. The Blues, having already secured the wooden spoon, shipped the year's biggest score in their 26.9, 165 to 8.13, 61 loss at Docklands. Brendan Bolton's side conceded 7 of the first 8 goals before losing influential pair Charlie Curnow and Jacob Whitering to injury, giving Adelaide a platform to rack up a score. Josh Jenkins led 12 Crows goal kickers with 7 majors, while Jordan Gallagher kicked a career-high 4. Adelaide did as they pleased, sending defender Jay Kelly forward to kick the first goal of his career to push Adelaide's lead beyond the 100-point mark. Rory Laird ran rings around the Blues, Rory Atkins was mighty and Andy Otten showed his class. Carlton fans among the pitiful 17,000-strong crowd made light of the situation, singing the club theme song deep into the last quarter. They'll be delighted to close the book on their rotten campaign, the Blues' first 2-win season since the year of Australia's federation. The Blues lost 7 games by more than 10 goals in 2018, and on Saturday night, their highlights were few and far between. Patrick Cripps, playing with ankle trouble, collected 24 contested possessions to break the AFL season record. He had 18 clearances, 11 more than anyone else on the ground. Harry Mackay kicked 3 goals, Jack Silvernew flew for a stunning fourth-quarter grab and Charlie Paulson showed attack on the ball. They will seek an end to their on-field woes in the AFL's trade window and can look forward to the first selection in the draft. Don Pyke's side will also be glad to see the end of a wretched year, given their big night out came too late to lengthen their season. Last year's minor premiers and grand finalists underwhelmed in 2018, and will finish either 11th or 12th with 12 wins. Dockers fall short as Magpies tie up top 4. Collingwood has secured a top 4 berth after overcoming a major scare to beat Fremantle by 9 points at Perth Stadium on Saturday. The Dockers led by 15 points at the 20-minute mark of the second term, and still held in 8-point lead early in the final term when Hayden Ballantyne ran 60 metres to score his 4th goal. But Collingwood lifted when it mattered most, with Brody Mihocek booting 2 goals within the space of a minute. And Josh Thomas adding another late in the match to secure the 11.10 76 to 9.13 67 win. The Magpies could have slid to as low as 6th if they had lost. But the win means Collingwood will now finish 4th at worst, and possibly as high as 2nd if West Coast lose to Brisbane on Sunday. Although Fremantle couldn't come away with victory in Michael Johnson's AFL farewell, they at least regained some much-needed respect. The Dockers were bombarded by criticism in the wake of last week's 133-point loss to Geelong, but they showed far more fight against the Magpies. Magpies ruckman Brodie Grundy starred with 24 disposals, 34 hitouts and 5 clearances, while Scott Pendlebury tallied 10 clearances from his 30 disposals. Fremantle conceded the last 23 goals of the game against Geelong last week, and the tally rose to 26 after the Magpies booted the first 3 goals of Saturday's game. But from there the Dockers clicked into gear, booting 5 unanswered goals to take a 12-point lead into quarter-time. Former Docker Chris Mayne spent large stints on the bench with a shin injury, and he missed 2 set shots in the third quarter that could have given Collingwood a slight edge heading into the final term. Instead, scores were level, and the 41,320 home crowd were in raptures early in the final quarter when Ballantyne scooped up a socket ball and ran 60 metres into an open goal. But 2 quick goals to Mihocek halted Fremantle's momentum, with Thomas delivering the killer blow. The Magpies received good news before the match when news filtered through that Tyson Goldsack made a successful return in the VFL. Goldsack played about 65% game time in his first match since tearing his anterior cruciate ligament in his left knee in March. But Collingwood appear set to be without young defender Sam Murray for the rest of the season, with the young defender facing a 4-year ban from ISADA after testing positive to a prohibited substance. Richmond wins a thriller over the Western Bulldogs. Jack Riewoldt has booted 5 goals to firm his grip on a third Coleman medal and lead Richmond to a tense 3-point AFL win over the Western Bulldogs at the MCG. Rookie Brad Lynch had the chance to secure an upset victory for the Bulldogs with less than a minute remaining on Saturday afternoon, but his set shot from a tight angle hit the post and the Tigers prevailed 15.8 98 to 14.11 95. It was far from the Tigers' most convincing performance, but that will matter little for the minor premiers, whose dominance at the home of football has them primed to claim back-to-back flags. The win extends their record unbeaten run at the MCG to 21 games and takes their final season tally to 18 wins and just 4 losses. Riewoldt's 5.2 leaves him with a season tally of 65.33, ahead of Geelong's Tom Hawkins, 58, and with North Melbourne's Ben Brown, 58, yet to play. The 56,998 crowd roared every time Riewoldt marked the ball, well aware that every major was drawing him closer to a third Coleman medal. Should Riewoldt prevail, it would be the lowest winning tally since he won the award with 65 majors in 2012, with a minor premiership already secured. Richmond went in as firm favourites against the 13th-placed Dogs but struggled to put their opponents away and never led by more than 3 goals. Damien Hardwick's men saved one of their worst first quarters of the season for last, playing what could only be described as bruise-free football. The Tigers had just 8 tackles at quarter-time, in a far cry from the suffocating pressure that won them last year's premiership. Bulldogs star Jack Macrae had a stunning first half, racking up 25 disposals, 9 marks, 6 tackles and a goal as the Dogs went to half-time with a 3-point lead. The Tigers found another gear in the second half with Dustin Martin, 33 disposals, 9 clearances, and a goal, continuing his hot form, and Riewoldt delivering a commanding performance up forward. Bulldogs rookie Patrick Lipinski was stretchered off in the final quarter after landing heavily on his neck in a marking contest. The Tigers appeared to get through unscathed, leaving them well placed for September, with Kane Lambert and Dan Butler set to return for their first final. Huge win puts Cats into 7th. Geelong has powered into the AFL finals on the back of successive triple-figure victories after thumping Gold Coast by 102 points at Cardinia Park on Saturday. With former Suns skipper Gary Ablett among the home side's best players, the Cats strolled to a 22.10 142-5.10 40 victory. They will improve 1 spot to 7th on the ladder should GWS beat Melbourne on Sunday. The Cats could hardly have had a more stress-free run into their 11th AFL finals campaign in the space of 12 years. With Saturday's demolition job on the Suns coming 7 days after a 133-point annihilation of Fremantle at the same venue. The match briefly looked to have got off in the worst possible manner for Geelong, with teammates Lockie Henderson and Jay Kolodjashnij involved in a heavy accidental collision in the opening minute. Kolodjashnij went off to have several stitches on a cut above his left eye before returning to the action. Henderson was also forced from the ground during the third quarter after a heavy clash of heads with Suns forward Aaron Young. Cats midfielder Cam Guthrie spent most of the final term on the bench nursing a corked thigh. Geelong led by 17 points at quarter-time before upping the intensity to extend the advantage to 60 points at the long break. It continued to be largely one-way traffic in the second half, with Patrick Dangerfield booting all of his game-high 4 goals in the third and fourth quarters. The Cats also got great returns from skipper Joel Selwood, 28 possessions, and first-year sensation Tim Kelly, 23 possessions and 3 goals. Tom Hawkins came into the match with an outside chance of clinching a first Coleman medal, but his challenge petered out as he could only manage 2 goals as the Cats shed the spoils up forward with 12 individual goal kickers. With Port Adelaide coming up well short at home to Essendon on Friday night, the Cats were guaranteed a spot in the finals regardless of the result of Saturday's match. After starting the season brightly, second-bottom Gold Coast's only win in their last 17 games was against Sydney in round 18. AFL ladder up topics: Australian Football League, Sport, Australia, Vic, Geelong 3220, Richmond 3121, West Melbourne 3003, Collingwood 3066, Carlton 3053, Hawthorn 3122, Queensland, Carrara 4211, New South Wales, Sydney 2000, SA, Adelaide 5000, WA, Fremantle 6160. First posted August 25, 2018, 13 hours 17 minutes and 11 seconds.